I think it's important to read out the whole extract. It's a little bit on the long side, but please bear with me because I think all the issues are important and just it will save me making any mistakes about the case. So I'm going to read this out then and share some of my thoughts afterwards. Here we go. Lecturer sacked at uni where student was banned over halal comments. This is by Kate Buck. A free speech row has intensified after an academic was fired at the same university where a student was kicked out for saying halal slaughter methods were barbaric. Dr. Chris Hill, 63, was dismissed in July after emailing colleagues saying he believed faith should be mocked and ridiculed, adding he was legally allowed to express dislike and antipathy towards religion. But Dr. Hill has now come forward after Sebastian Walsh, 19, was also banned last week for saying he thought the NHS should charge for illegal immigrants and criticised the Islamisation of the UK. In his view, the UKIP member also said he wouldn't eat at Subway or KFC because they used halal meat that was killed without being stunned, a claim the University of Central Lancashire UCLAN said brought it into disrepute. UCLAN told him he could only return if he took a diversity training course. Dr. Hill, who worked as an engineering lecturer at the institution for 7 years, spoke out after UCLAN opened a £1 million faith facility. He said his free speech was being curbed and added, I believe there is a problem in that staff see any discussion of religion as problematic. The university has effectively reintroduced blasphemy as a crime on campus. In my view, critical thinking about religion is an essential part of a democratic and academic life. Dr. Hill was placed under investigation, and the Vice Chancellor said he was summarily dismissed. He said that the money would have been better spent on funding the maths department to help students who have abysmally poor math skills. He added the money used on the Faith Centre could have provided over 1,000 years of math support for engineering students at UCLAN. In both Mr. Walsh's and Dr. Hill's cases, a UCLAN spokesperson dismissed any claims that free speech was under threat and said it promotes lawful, open debate, the discussion of varying views and academic freedom, and has robust procedures to ensure this can take place. They added that the university values rich diversity and take our responsibility to provide a safe and welcoming environment for all very seriously. During an official hearing, Dr. Hill from Liverpool was described as a decent guy and valued member of staff by his colleagues. After being forced out in July last year, he was given a good reference and has found further work in the engineering field. He has also been awarded £13,000 after an academic legal clinic threatened to sue for wrongful dismissal, although neither party admitted wrongdoing. Okay, there's an important point of that, which says that which is a spokesperson claiming that they allow um, a legal environment for freedom of expression. Well, that's a very dubious claim because there is nothing to suggest that either Dr. Hill or the young student were committing any sort of criminal offences. There's nothing to suggest that they were engaged in bullying or any other sort of unpleasant behaviour. So essentially, what this is censorship of well, in one case, right wing views, and the other, secular atheist viewpoints. I think what Dr. Hill said definitely bears the hallmarks of the university bringing in a sort of blasphemy law and everything but name. Now, I want to just be clear here. I don't agree with all the positions that these two have. Um, with the student, I'm not a supporter of UKIP, and I don't agree that we should block all treatment of foreigners on the NHS. I think that's a bit harsh. With the lecturer, I wouldn't necessarily agree that there should be no facilities for students of faith. However, he is right to point out that that extortionate amount of money being spent on the new faith centre could probably be spent elsewhere. Now, I'm familiar with this university. It's in Preston, in as the name suggests, Central Lancashire. I'm familiar with it because it was one of the universities I looked at years ago. I'd also looked at the University of Sheffield and Caledonian University in Glasgow. I actually ended up at the University of Wolverhampton. I'll make one caveat. If there is further information that is subsequently revealed, like a student was engaged in some unpleasant behaviour or anything like that, it may change the angle on this. But I think it's far more likely that what we have is a sort of groupthink mentality. And it's a bit of a joke for them to claim that they value freedom of expression when they're essentially punishing a student for no other reason than candidly expressing his opinion. And, you can't help but wonder if you had a black transgender Corbynite who blamed the evil British Empire for all the world's problems, that is offensive to some people, but they're not going to be disciplined. I think what we're seeing in university campuses is a very narrow, hard left, regressive left groupthink being enforced. This is not about whether or not you agree with these people. Like I say, I'm not a UKIP supporter. I'd probably disagree with that young guy on a lot of things. That's not the point. The point is, if universities cannot be bastions of freedom of expression, what hope is there for the future? And this is problematic because in the West, freedom of expression is sacrosanct. It's something that we pride ourselves on when compared to a society like China or Turkey or other authoritarian states where freedom of expression is, it's not only under attack, it's virtually non-existent, where you have one one ideology that's accepted and that's it. That's what I think we're starting to see in university campuses from the regressive left. I mean, you're welcome back if you take diversity training. Why does he need to take diversity training? Because he doesn't like the fact that there's legitimate animal welfare concerns around halal? That's a disgrace. You know, if we were talking about misconduct, for example, corruption, if we were talking about very specific bullying of other students, if we were talking about um, wrongdoing, such as cheating in an exam, all those are legitimate reasons to expel someone. But to throw them out of a place of learning, a place where you're supposed to exchange ideas, garner knowledge, simply for having a politically incorrect viewpoint, is a travesty. And it isn't just Preston. This is happening, in universities across the country. And when I see stuff like this, it just reminds me why I really don't miss university. Some people have suggested going back, not so long as there's this environment. And it isn't just in Britain, we've seen it across the Western world. We've seen it in the United States, especially at the university, at the Berkeley campus of the University of California, and in Canada. There's a deep, deep intolerance from the regressive left. And, it's taking classic liberals, centrists, and people on the centre right to call this out. I think it's a disgrace. Um, I mean, what are they so scared of? If students don't like what this young guy has to say, no one's forcing them to attend the lecture. No one's forcing them to listen to him. Just go somewhere else. Either go somewhere else or debate with him. But simply punishing for having a point of view, assuming that's all there is to it, and he hasn't been engaging in, any sort of bullying behaviour, and I see no evidence that he has. I mean, the bullying here is actually against him. I find it reprehensible. I can't remember if I made another video covering the student, but it's just reprehensible that there's this intolerance seeping into university campuses, and they're moral cards because they're hiding behind this broken record of, oh, we want a safe environment for all. Well, how is him expressing his viewpoint threatening other students? Because they might be triggered by it, because they don't like his opinion? Okay, so either they debate with him in a civil manner or they go somewhere else. I think this is an example of a cowardly decision to cave into groupthink. And the University of Central Lancashire, shame on them, really.